All right, everybody, welcome to the second episode of Beyond the Blind. I'm here with Mr. Hook and Holler Outdoors, Mr. Thomas Smitherman. How you doing?
I'm good, man. How about yourself?
Doing great. Man, it's funny, and it's kind of a topic I want to go over today. But I remember the first video I saw of yours. You were talking about motion and decoys, and you talked about it a lot. I feel like because whether spinning wing decoys may flare off birds, and it just depends. Some people like them, some people don't, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, motion's very important in my opinion. And the
Hmm.
spinning wing thing, like I said, that's you do your own thing with that. That's just like the chuckle I was doing the other day, the loud, crazy, fast chuckling. I don't do it. It don't sound like a duck to me. But that don't mean that, a guy somewhere else
Right.
believes in that. It's just kind of an opinionated deal.
Right, and we'll get to that later, but I guess as of right now, tell us a little bit about yourself and how did you get into waterfowl? Did you start with it, or did you start big game and then kind of work your way into birds, or how did you get your start?
Okay, so I shot my first deer when I was 6 years old.
Okay.
My dad sawed the stock off of a 223, and my dad's been a big influence for my hunting. I mean, that was my childhood growing up. I didn't have a game system or a phone. I didn't get a phone until my 11th grade year of high school. So
Really?
my whole life was hunting. That was what I did for fun. Like, I on the weekends it was we cut the grass, we get all the chores done around the house, and then we can go hunting that afternoon. Like that was like my gift for doing those things. And my dad was very like old school. Like I didn't have like, if I took the trash out, I wasn't getting paid to do that. I had a
Right.
roof over my head and that was my payment. I got to sleep in a house and my belly was full. That was my payment. I wasn't, so I was really raised very traditional as far as like every animal that I've ever shot in my lifetime, except for maybe, when I was a little kid and I'd shoot a bluebird when my dad wasn't paying attention, being a little
Hmm.
kid, we always eat. Like, I mean, but I'll tell you this, until college, I had never had like cow. Like I'd never eaten like
Hmm.
a burger, like a
Really?
beef burger. It's always been deer. Deer
Okay.
spaghetti, deer burger. I mean, anything beef stroganoff is deer stroganoff. Like that's how I grew up. Everything we shot went to the table, and that's what we did. We didn't spend money on groceries really.
And you know what? I feel like probably that's honestly probably a little bit healthier than what's going on with, like obviously people talk about all this shit that's in our food and, like what are they doing to these cows? What are they feeding them? Yada, yada, yada. So I feel like that's probably a little bit healthier than,
Oh yeah, yeah, for
eating that
sure.
store-bought beef all the time. Unless
Yeah, because
like you're getting it from like a personal butcher or someone who runs cow farm for sure.
yeah, like we did it all of ourselves. Like my dad has the grinder for, hamburger, deer hamburger, and we had the stuff to slice the cube steak and everything. Like it was all, done by us, so we knew what was in it. And like back to the subject of like how I got into waterfowl. So my dad's a big turkey and deer. Turkey and deer is what he loved to do, and I hunted with him for the longest time. Doing those things. Well, I guess around sixth grade, I was probably I don't know 12, 13. I got to go on a wood duck hunt, and that's pretty much all we have here in Alabama is wood ducks.
Okay.
And I went one time, and I was like, "Holy moly, this is crazy!" Birds flying everywhere. You're not sitting there waiting on something to pop up.
Right.
Like your adrenaline's pumping. It's quick, fast paced. I was like, "Holy moly, this is awesome!" So then that sparked my interest. I went on YouTube and started watching duck hunting, and then I quickly realized that people that are shooting ducks are not shooting wood ducks. They are shooting these green-headed ducks called mallards, and it just tumbled from there. It went from holy crap, these guys are shooting these birds in the timber. This is
Right.
insane. How can I do this? That was like my mindset from
And
then
that
on.
that started the addiction then, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
That's that's kind of and I was saying this the other day. It's super cliche, but it's like, I remember watching, Duck Dynasty as a kid, and I swear I'm going to say this in back-to-back podcasts, but watching Duck Dynasty as a kid, like that was super intriguing to me. Not just about the lifestyle about it, but going into the woods, getting into the land, setting food plots, and all that stuff, and um, yeah, I just took a super big interest in that stuff, and I'm grateful that this year I have the resources and the people around me to actually get into this stuff and learn, like listening to your videos and doing tons of research and stuff like that. But super grateful. But the yeah, that's crazy. So you guys have primarily have wood ducks down there, and you've been talking about migration a lot recently. Have you seen like in the past few years at all, like as far as, are you seeing more wood ducks, less wood ducks? Are you seeing more mallards? Like, what's your, I guess, what's the typical common species of duck that you're seeing down there? Just wood ducks mainly, or is there? Do you
Uh,
get your average? Like, do you get mallards? Do you get pintails? What's that looking like down there?
Okay, so I'll say this: the last time I shot a big duck in Alabama, meaning like mallard, pintail, any duck that really worked, big duck wise,
Mm-hmm.
was 2021, I do believe, and I shot a pintail in Alabama. That was the last time I've even seen a big duck, except for catfish farms. We have catfish ponds, a lot of catfish farmers around here, and the mallards there will stay year round because they're fed catfish feed. They eat the catfish
Right.
food off the pond, so they stay year round. But other than those, man, it's pretty much wood duck and mergansers. We don't even see many teal, but it's really the part of Alabama I'm in. So I'm in central. I'm in dead center of Alabama. Like I'm not considered south. I'm just central, and there's no. I mean,
Right.
flyway to our east, and there's a flyway to our west, and we're dead center in the middle, and we don't get any action from the migration. Most of the migration, wood ducks, but you don't even really know if the wood ducks are migratory or they've just been around all year. So
Yeah.
it's like that's why I leave Alabama. That's why I go hunt everywhere else because from the age I could drive, when I turned 16, I got a boat, and I've hunted the Alabama River. I've hunted all the surrounding rivers, and I can probably hold on one hand. Well, I had one good hunt, and I think like I said, I'm thinking it's 2020 or maybe 2021, where it got really, really cold, and we shot mallards, gadwall, teal, and that's the only hunt I've ever had in Alabama where I've shot big birds like that, like a pile of big birds. Most of the
Yeah.
time, it doesn't matter. I mean, it's most of the time wood ducks or mergansers.
So does that? Do you think that? And like you said, you travel, but um, do you think that, I guess, if you were to stay in Alabama, and are you planning on staying in Alabama the rest of your life? Like you,
I'm not sure. I'm not real sure
okay,
what my future endeavor is. It really depends on jobs and careers and whatever doors open for me. But I'm not against leaving Alabama for sure.
okay. I mean, do you think that after a while that hunting the same species of duck gets boring at all, or do you think that, like, that's what drove you outside of Alabama, right? Is
Yeah,
you
yeah.
wanted to shoot them big ducks?
Well, the main thing is not really the shooting aspect; it's the fact of communicating to a bird. Like a
Right.
wood duck's not gonna work like a mallard or a pintail. And I don't care who argues with me. Wood duck. I've been hunting wood duck since I could walk, and I can tell you, a wood duck ain't working like a mallard. I mean, I'll take that to the grave. A wood duck ain't working like a big duck does. And everybody has their own opinion again, but this is something I strongly say that I've done. I've been there and done it. If a wood duck wants to be there, it's coming there. It's already got its mind made up. Most of the time wood ducks go to food. You got to find a
Mm-hmm.
feed hole in a wood duck. You ain't fishing to sit there and say, I'm going to traffic wood ducks all morning. That ain't going to happen. It don't matter if you got 450 dozen decoys out there. They ain't coming if they don't want to be there. But yeah, so that's what drove me out of Alabama, really. It's just because, like, you go on YouTube and you see these guys learning how to call. Well, I never need a mallard call. I'm a mallard call in Alabama. I mean, I might as well leave my calls at the house. Like, there's
Right.
no point. Wood ducks don't even respond to mallard calls here because there's no mallards. There's no, I mean, they don't see them. It's so rare. And like I said, this is for the part of Alabama I'm in. I'm not talking about northeast Alabama or northwest Alabama or even the west side that borders, Mississippi and places.
Mm-hmm.
Where I live specifically, there is no big ducks unless it comes a freaking freeze up north. Like it has to be so cold that the birds have to come down here.
Right.
And I know we got some stuff coming up on the migration stuff later on, so I'll leave that at that.
What do you think about the people that say that wood duck calls don't work? Because I feel like that's a divided topic, right? You have your guys
No.
that are like, wood duck calls, I can I can work them with it, and then you have your other people that are just like, I can't call them in. That you just got to let them come in. Like, what do you
Um,
think about that?
So I think the main thing, I'm gonna go back to this again, motion. If you have motion in the water, wood ducks, I mean, any duck is huge on motion, but wood ducks, you gotta have motion. Like that's one of my biggest calls for wood ducks, like I would say. And now, yeah, you can if you go back and watch old Duck Dynasty episodes, I don't know whether they had 400 pounds of corn in that hole or them calls are actually working. I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you, man.
Right.
Because like I mean, some people say the wood duck call, you can call a wood duck in, and if you do the right sounds on a wood duck call, that's another thing. A lot of people pick up a wood duck call and immediately go weep 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 weep. That's
Mm-hmm.
their flying call. That's not their sitting. So a lot of guys just pick it up and do that, and that's not what a wood duck sounds like sitting on the water. You're I mean So it really, like you said, it's an opinionated thing again. Like some people may take it to the grave that a wood duck call is going to call wood ducks in, but and maybe it does. You know, if you know they're feeding close to where you're hunting, maybe you can draw them, you know, off course just a little bit to come check out what you got going on. But I don't know, man. In my years of hunting wood ducks, I've never had much luck trying to work a wood duck.
Okay. So so you always lived in Alabama then. You grew up there, you live there now. You're
Yep.
not opposed to leaving. So I guess what was, and you kind of got into this in the start, but I guess what was hunting in Alabama like for you? Like that was your weekends. That's what you did. You did your chores and then you went and hunted. But I guess what was the experience in Alabama hunting? Like what was that like for you growing up?
Well, I mean, like I said, hunting for me was everything. I learned everything to know that, like, I'm not saying I'm no expert or anything, but
Mm-hmm.
growing up I lived in the woods. Like, I mean, if it was daylight outside, I wasn't sitting in the house. Like
Right.
I can remember so many times my dad will be like, going outside, this is grown folks conversation, go outside and play. Like, that was, I mean, I can't tell you how many times I was told that. We didn't Me and my sister, we didn't sit inside and play. We weren't allowed to be on games and all. So, like, when you're outside all the time, that's just like the noises. I mean, I know you've joined my live before, and I'm doing crow calls or turkey gobbling or whatever
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing,
Yep.
crazy sounds I've learned how to do. It's just because I've been outside for so long and I've heard those noises for so long. Like, you know, being out there at daylight and hunting too, but like just, you know, as a child growing up and being out there with nature, it's like you pick up on those types of things.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think as someone who like I grew up, you and grew up completely different, right? Like, um, I had an Xbox, I had games, but like, we had chores to do around the house. Like, I'm a single child, so I had some chores to do around the house, and um, you know, hunting to me as a child, like just seeing it on TV was like, wow, that's crazy. I can't believe people do that. And now that I'm a bit older and actually getting into it, it's I think it's not just something that I think a lot of people don't understand, or I think what a lot of people don't understand is like this is some people's lifestyle and this is how they live year round. That's what they think about. That's their mindset. They wake up, live and breathe hunting. And other people just look at it like that's their passion and that's just their hobby on the weekends, right?
Yeah. That's the thing. Like, I catch myself sometimes, like, somebody goes and spends a bunch of money on something, like, I don't know, like baseball cards or something. Some guy I know, you know, he went and told me how much money he spent on these baseball cards. And I'm like, for what? Why do you need that many baseball cards?
Right.
Why are you paying that much money? But then if you really think about it, like the amount of money I've spent on duck hunting, just duck hunting. I'm not talking about turkey, deer, nothing, just duck hunting alone. I mean, boat, decoys, waders, shells, pew pews. I mean, everything you can imagine. Like, it's just insane. But
Right.
like, so, you know, you're so quick to, you know, think somebody else is like, oh, that's crazy to do. But then if you self reflect for a second, like, you know, they're passionate about those baseball cards just like I'm passionate about hunting. So, like, money doesn't really matter in my opinion. Like, yeah, you got to have the money, but like once you have that money, it's like I love doing this. I don't mind spending my hard earned money on it because I know I love doing it.
Absolutely. I think that and I'm going through that this year, man, like getting the first the semi-auto and going through all that stuff. Like I think I picked the most expensive game in my opinion to hunt, right?
Yeah, you did for sure. You did.
But there's something about it that when you look at, and it's not even just like being out in the woods, but um, just watching animals and wildlife in general, just the way they go about doing things is just a very interesting concept, right? Because like we're supposed to be some sort of mammal, right?
Yeah,
And the way that we do things kind of derives itself from how animals live their lives as well.
yeah,
You have a mother lion and her cub. Well, that reflects, an actual mother and her son. And so it's just very interesting watching nature and everything like that. But um, the so you grew up, didn't really have a phone until 11th grade.
yes,
So getting into social media and sharing your story and your hunts and your opinions on hunting and everything like that. what what made you decide that you wanted to share your hunts and passion for waterfowl or any type of wildlife and big game on TikTok?
I mean, the thing was, like, growing up, since I never was like affected by social media that much, I just see it like even when I'm like people I talk to, I'm like, dude, you need to start TikTok. You need to do this. But for me, it's like I'm talking to people. Like I just talk to you or I'm talking to TikTok like I'm talking to somebody. Like it just, flows out. Like it's not I don't think of it as like even when I first picked up the camera, like it was just like I'm talking to people. Like it's not like I'm actually talking to a device. I don't know. I
Right.
guess that's kind of how I goes with how I grew up. Just how I am. I'm straightforward playing. That's how it is. It's how it's going to be. And you know, I'm talking to people. Like a lot of people get caught up on the whole aspect, and they're scared of what other people think. Like they're so worried about what somebody else has to say, man. And it's like, why live your life that way? Why sit there and worry about what other people are going to say about what you do? Do what makes you happy. I preach that to people all the time. Like, just do it. Like, who cares? We're all gonna die one day. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, why does it matter? So like that was one of my things. And yeah, I'm not gonna sit here and say when I first started doing it, I wasn't a little worried. Like, yeah, I know I didn't expect to have this many people seeing my stuff neither. No, I was thinking, 100 or something. But now that, it's gotten bigger and I got, some of my videos, if you really think about it, that 1.6 million view video, like 1.6 million people have seen. That's more people I've seen in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's
And
crazy
that
the
was the one
reach.
about the cruelty on the ducks, right,
Yeah,
with the
cruelty.
animals.
Mm,
And so, and actually that was something I want to get in with you is like I feel like a lot of people, and you and I talked about this yesterday, is um, I think a lot of people come on TikTok, especially like new waterfowl hunters, and they try and be something that they're
yeah.
not. And it kind of surprises me in a little bit because I try and take this at a different angle as I'm trying to learn the most I can from everybody that and that's really why I'm doing this. But you know, everybody has their own different opinion on how they do or how they go about doing things. But you go through and it's funny, you go through your hunter's education class and they teach you the number one thing is to be an ethical hunter. Do not play
Mm,
with your game. It's like playing with your food. You don't play with your food at the table. It
yeah.
looks bad. And then you have these people on TikTok doing it, not even just the ducks, but other animals in general, deer and turkeys and stuff like that. And it kind of just breaks your heart because, as someone, you growing up and loving to hunt and loving wildlife in general, like that definitely probably has to break some sort of part of your
Um,
heart.
dude, one of the saddest moments I've ever had hunting. I accidentally shot a doe in the spine one time, and the poor thing was paralyzed. And I chased this deer, not because I'm chasing it as like a wild animal trying to hunt down this deer. I was just trying to get it out of pain. Like, it
Mm-hmm.
was making all kind of sounds. Like I felt terrible. I was like, oh man, I made a terrible shot. And, I chased the deer down and dispatched it and all. And
Mm-hmm.
man, it was just the saddest thing. Like I sat there and looked at that deer and man, I felt terrible. Like it's the worst feeling. That's the thing. Like hunters, especially me. I mean, I wish all hunters felt this way, and some of them obviously don't, based off videos I've seen.
Right.
But like seeing an animal in pain that I caused is like the most heart wrenching thing because it's like I did this to this. I caused this. I caused this hurt right here, and yeah, that was one of the saddest things. Especially like I think people don't do it to big game as much as because it's a big game. It's a big animal. But the thing is, even a duck, man. Like the whole time you're sitting there playing with the thing and it's squealing and all, and just finish it, man. The thing's hurting. Like it's just like anything. If you were hurting like that, would you want somebody to play with you and make a joke out
Mm-hmm.
of you and video you while you're in that state? Like, come on now, man. People got to do better about that. And I don't understand how people can do that. How can you sit there and do that to an animal, if you have any respect for it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's and I think there was another thing last year, and I don't know if you saw it or not, but there was another, um, and maybe I'm misspeaking on it, but I definitely think it happened. I think there was one last year where some guy had took his hunting dog or his bird dog, and it wasn't retrieving right. And obviously, um, after watching the video multiple times, like there comes a style with working a dog or using a working dog in general. It's not, and I look at it this way. That's not just some people's tool, like somebody building a house with a hammer. That's just their animal in general.
Mm.
While it is working and retrieving ducks and doing what it was trained to do, that is somebody's animal. And I think when I saw that video of him he's beating on the dog
Yeah.
after it had missed the retrieve, and I think that blew up a little bit on TikTok last year.
Yeah, I
And
remember
I
seeing that.
and that kid got canceled pretty quick, and I think a lot of people were pushing for him to get his license permanently revoked, and I was like, absolutely, that should get
Yeah.
revoked. I mean, that just it's not even the fact that it's like the wildlife abuse. I think it's the people, the even the just the pure animal abuse that some people go through with their dogs because they're not retrieving right. Well, that's your own fault for not training the dog right.
Yeah. That's one thing I preach all the time is your hunting dog or your animal, whatever you train, is a direct reflection of how much time you have put in with that animal.
Right.
Like I could take my dog for example. I hunted her the first weekend of dove season. I got aggravated with her a little bit because I didn't spend as much time as I should have, and she got tired quick and she wasn't doing like. But the thing is, it's my fault. I didn't spend enough time with her before the season. I didn't get her in shape. I can't sit there and beat on my dog just because it's not acting right if I didn't put the time in with the dog.
Right.
That's what people want their dog to just go out there and be some champion bloodline dog, but don't put champion bloodline time into the dog. You know what I'm saying? Like they're not. You can't expect a result that you didn't put any effort into.
Absolutely, and I think that's kind of the heartbreaking thing about you know the the passion of hunting in general is just like you will have your ups and downs. You will fail. That is just life. You will
Yeah.
fail, and seeing people take out that anger, and not even just on the wildlife, but their own working dog, like that just kind of breaks your heart a little bit. And these people glorifying that on TikTok and social media in general is just kind of crazy to me. But have you noticed that like social media in general has been changing the way that people see waterfowl hunting at all? Like, do you think that they're seeing that this is a positive thing, or is this a more of a negative thing?
Well, I'll speak on my personal, my TikTok, for example. I'll have people comment sometimes, you're ruining duck hunting, you're promoting it on social media, you're getting guys into it. More people are going to want to hunt, the woods are going to be more full, whatever. My thing is with that, you got two sides of it. So if I don't talk about it, and then you got some guy come in there, set up 20 yards from you, shoot your swing ducks all morning, sky busting birds, messing your hunt up. Or on the other hand, would you rather me go in here and help out people? Because if somebody's gonna go duck hunting, they're gonna go duck hunting. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I mean? Whether they know what they're doing or they don't. And it's definitely a new age. It used to not be as many people as it is now for sure. But the thing is, like, I mean, you got to pick your poison. Are you going to complain about people shooting your swing ducks and setting up right beside you,
Right.
or are you going to complain that I'm on here helping people and promoting the duck hunting? So I mean, you really just have to pick which one are you going to cry about, because that's one thing I've learned, especially since social media, is people
Mm-hmm.
are going to find something to cry about all the time. It don't matter.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to cry. I mean, whatever I say, if I said I like green more than blue, somebody's going to cry. And that's, I mean, this is a little deeper than what we're diving into, but I think that's one of the main issues with the world today is people are
Absolutely.
crying over stuff like opinions. Just because I like ketchup more than mustard, you're going to have a meltdown and throw a fit about an opinion. Like, come on now. Like, that's just crazy to me.
And I think you find that same disagreement in the different styles of waterfowl hunters too, because you got your field guys and you got your timber guys,
Yeah.
and you're going on your first field hunt this year, right? Or
Yeah,
because you
my
mainly
first field duck hunt. Yeah, I've shot geese in fields, but I've never specifically targeted ducks in a field. So this will be the first time doing that.
okay, and I think that disagreement I've seen a lot on TikTok too is, oh, timber hunters have to work more for their ducks, or hey, these field guys have it easy because they can set up all this shit in the field where corn was being grown and they just can naturally attract them in. So, and obviously, I talked to get him calls about this too. Is he said you really got to work on getting the duck into a timber hole.
Yeah.
You have to want them to be there. So I think that's like one of the big disagreements as I've seen is, yeah, like the timber versus the field thing. And coming from you being a timber hunter and you're going on your first field hunt, like what are you expecting out of that?
Well, I mean, I've hunted open water before, so I'm assuming it's going to be more of that style.
Mm-hmm.
Because like back on the timber stuff, like even if you go watch YouTube, like the way you got to hunt timber is you're trying to make this duck come into the woods, and he has no idea what's down there. The sun's blinding him most of the time. You got to make that duck really, really, really want to be in there. Like, I mean, you got to let him know, come here, come here. There's plenty of food, come eat. Like, you got to beg him to come down in there and that group of birds, and you got to stay on that group of birds until they are literally backpedaling into the hole. Like it's a
Right.
very aggressive, and that's where the cut down comes in. You know, everybody uses cut down and timber hunt because you can bark at them, you can get their attention, you can get them down in there. And I'm assuming like field hunting to me, I feel like it's going to be like a open water. I've hunted open water before, and I honestly open water to me it's kind of easier because you can read the birds better. Like I can watch the bird's wings the whole time. He's flying over open field. I feel like it'd be the same as flying over water.
Mm-hmm.
If I call and he responds by cupping his wings up and he's interested in what's going on, I can continue doing that. But in the timber, a lot of times if you lose sight of them in the trees or whatever, and you can't really see how the ducks interact into your call. So I'm kind of excited about that because I think I said I think it's going to be like water. I may be completely wrong, but over when you can see a bird, you can't call a duck without seeing a duck. Pretty much is what I'm getting at. You
Right.
can, but you can't. Like in the timber, you may see them in a spot, and then you may see them in another spot. They go through some trees, and you see them again. You can call them like that too. But if you don't see a bird at all, you can't work a bird you can't see. Like
Right.
like I mean, you just can't. And if you know what to look for in a bird's body language, if you call and he immediately locks up, okay, you're doing something right, and let him work and continue what you did the first time. If it's not broke, don't fix it.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's what's field hunting is going to be similar to. I hope so. Anyways, 'cause if it's not, I don't know what to do.
So you're in Oklahoma the first time this year, right?
Yes, I'm going to Oklahoma
Okay.
in December.
So what other states have you traveled to to hunt ducks?
I've hunted Mississippi. I've hunted Colorado. I've hunted Arkansas and
You said Arkansas was the best hunting for ducks you'd ever been on.
Arkansas. Yeah, for sure, Arkansas. Arkansas is the best state I've ever hunted in, and it's not because of like that's what everybody says or whatever. It's just because of the green timber. And if you've never experienced a green timber hunt, I'm sure you've seen them on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually insane to be in one, and I'll kind of go through the scenario of it. It was storming one morning, and we had been hunting public the whole week, and it was, I mean, storming, wind blowing, thunder and lightning. It was terrible outside. Nobody else was at the ramp. Well, there was this hole. I was like, I'm not putting my boat in. We're just gonna walk to this hole. There's nobody else here. Let's just walk over here. Like I said, wind's blowing like 25 miles an hour. It's ripping. Well, these birds were like, we're trying to get to the hole we're going to, and these birds were already trying to get in there without us. It was like we knew immediately this was going to be good. So we just threw out maybe 7 or 8 decoys. Like we just threw out what we could. There was ducks still trying to come in there. And man, the ducks would come down in that timber, and literally all we did all morning was chuckle. We didn't quack a single time. They wanted in there anyways, and they would get down in there, and the wind. Once they got in there, they couldn't get out. It was like they were froze in slow motion.
Mm-hmm.
Like their wings were flapping, but they weren't going anywhere. And it was like just shooting steel ducks. And it was only me and another guy because my buddy had
Mm-hmm.
slept in. He had drank too much the night before, and he didn't wake up. So it was me and a buddy, and we had our limit by 7 o'clock. I mean, the only thing else we could shoot was a bonus bird, like a teal, or we had our mallard limit already and our pintail limit. Um, so we called my buddy and like, dude, get out of the bed. Let's go. I mean, these birds are still pouring in here as we're sitting here.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I had a camera on for this. And my buddy shows up, and we end up shooting a 3-man right there. And if we
Mm-hmm.
would have had, I don't know how many guys, we could have sat there and shot a limit out of. But yeah, Arkansas timber, it's just a whole different game. They're coming down on top of you. I mean, it's just different than any other hunting. They're tight, and everything has to go right for Arkansas timber hunt. It's not easy, like everybody portrays it. Like you see it on YouTube, and you're like, "Oh, I could go do that," but no, when
Mm-hmm.
you're fighting crowds, and on a timber hunt, the wind has to be right. The birds have to be able to get into the spot you're hunting. That's one of the biggest things people mess up on. Oh, this hole is great, looks good. Well,
Mm-hmm.
the wind's wrong. The birds can't get into that hole because the opening is on the south side, and the wind's blowing, the opposite direction.
Right.
Because birds land into the wind. That's something that people have to realize. If the wind's blowing south, and the birds are going to be landing into that south wind. I mean, so you have to kind of play the wind. The sun needs to be right. If it's cloudy, they can see really good. You have to back off the hole. There's just so much that comes into timber hunting, and obviously calling and having motion down there. That's another huge thing because you're trying to get these birds to come in there, and they can't even see what they're coming down into until they've already came down into it.
That's awesome. And I think and you look on YouTube at these Arkansas public hunts, everybody's racing to the holes, right? Like everybody's
Yeah.
loaded up, they're ready to go. And do you think that like that is I mean, I guess as far as like hunting pressure, do you feel like the hunting pressure is like as far as Arkansas goes, do you think like that is the hurting the duck population down there at all, or do you just feel like they're gonna come down there every year and you're gonna you know just keep killing them? Like, I mean, as far as like just as the population goes, and everybody knows Arkansas is like the duck capital of the world. So, what do you think as far as how that works?
Well, I don't think Arkansas is getting near. I mean, it's not even a think thing. It's in the percentages. There's not near as many birds as there used to be coming to Arkansas.
Right.
And a lot of that has to do with open water, the weather, and all the crops they have up north of Arkansas and in that Missouri, Oklahoma, Kansas area, flooded fields, and they're keeping water open, or they're they're not getting the snow they were getting, whatever their excuse is for up there. They got food up there for them. I mean, last year, January 19th, Missouri River had hundreds of thousands of ducks sitting on it, floating by ice cubes. Ducks ain't eating off ice cube. There's food somewhere. Them ducks are eating up there.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know really what's going on because I'm not a big dog to know all that stuff, but I can tell you something's going on up there. And as far as the
It's like you
pressure,
said, they're staying up north.
yeah, they're staying up north. Load
Right.
the truck up and go north. Don't stay south. But Arkansas, yeah, man. As far as the pressure goes and the people, they put the splits in there for that reason to try to give them a
Mm-hmm.
rest and all. But man, when the split's not open, holy, like it's literally like if World War III was a thing right now, that's what it would sound like. Like it is insane the amount of shots and
Mm-hmm.
people. Like people literally, I'll put it to you this way: anytime I've ever hunted in Arkansas, to get a good spot, to get a decent spot, you have got to sleep in the truck. You got to be at the ramp. I mean, like sleep at the truck at like 6 p.m. and there'll be lines already. Like you go sleep in a hotel if you want to. You ain't getting a hole. Like unless you sleep in the hotel, like you go hunting that morning and you go take a nap from like 12 o'clock to like 3 p.m. and then go sleep. You can do it like that. But and they have different ways to hunt in Arkansas. Like there's different places you can hunt, walk-ins and um oxbow lakes and different rules for everything.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as hunting like the WMAs and the rivers where you're putting in at a public ramp, I mean the thing is it almost defeats the purpose of sleeping in the truck because once you sleep in the truck, you can't go in a slough till 4:30 or 4 o'clock. Don't quote me on that, or something like that. And by the time that time comes, you got 10 boats sitting at this mouth of this slough fishing to absolutely gash back up in there. And,
Mm-hmm.
everybody loves to say Arkansas got rid of the boat race. No, bull, they didn't. They did not. Because, yeah, you're not racing from the ramp anymore, but you're still racing from the mouth of a slough into where you're going
Right.
in the areas that I hunt. So the way I've hunted Arkansas is a lot different than a lot of people. I've always had a slow boat with a 25 on it, and when I say this, people are always like everybody knows where these holes are at, whatever. But you go where people don't want to go. People in general are lazy. Most people are
Yep.
lazy. They don't want to. They don't want to walk 2 miles to a duck hole. Unless that's literal last resort. That's just in human nature. Laziness is just so. If you look for holes that are very, very far off the beaten path, and it's going to be pull your boat up to a bank and walk 2 miles through junk, a lot of times you can go find birds that way. But you just have to. You got to have that passion and want to. Also, you can't go to Arkansas and think you're going to go mash birds on public
Mm-hmm.
land, and you're already at a huge disadvantage because if you're out of stater, you're going there against these people that live there, and they know where ducks are at certain parts of the year. Just from recognition of patterns. Like, okay, this time of year, these ducks like to be at this part of the river. Well, now you're going against guys who know where the good holes are at. They've hunted it
Mm-hmm.
year after year, and you're having to figure it out. And you
Right.
got 5 days. You got 5 days to kill some birds. I mean, it's hard. And anybody who says it isn't, I don't know who you are. You must be hunting private or somewhere I ain't hunting
Mm-hmm.
because I don't know what to tell you.
I mean, do you think, and this might be a like stupid question, but do you think that as far as do you think for is as far as Arkansas goes, do you think that there should be limits then on that public land hunting to reduce the amount of sky busting and overcrowding then?
I think, honestly, I had a little idea like last year when I first started my TikTok. I'm pretty sure the video is still posted. I think what they should do is allow out of staters certain times to go. Like, say
Mm-hmm.
you buy out of staters, they allow out of staters two 5 day licenses a season. And see, that's going to make a lot of people pissed off because a lot of
Right.
those guys will spend the whole season in Arkansas. They'll take off work the entirety of Arkansas season being from, Florida or South Carolina. But the thing is, when you have the number of hunters out there, like, man, it gets crazy. And that's the thing. The normal Joe, like somebody who works a normal job, isn't going to Arkansas for a whole month. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you're not doing it. You can't afford that. So I think, and people, like I said, people won't like it, but I think if you did a 5 day, 2 5 day license per out of stater, that'd give, 10 days for somebody to hunt. Even if you did just one, 1 7 day, something that way the out of staters aren't. I mean, dude, I can't imagine hunting Alabama and can't even put in my ramp 10 minutes down from my house. I would be livid. Like I would not like that, not one bit. And I mean, I understand the frustration coming from, people that live in Arkansas because
Mm-hmm.
what the heck do you mean I can't go put in my ramp that's 5 minutes down the road because there's a line 4 miles long?
Right.
I mean, it does get to a point where I understand why they're frustrated about
Well,
some of them.
and it's funny you say this because like we were, February we were in a snow goose hunt, and in northern Arkansas, and we'd met these guys at some local diner in this small town of like 250 people, and we're talking to them. We're like, "Hey, you found any today? You shot any, whatever?" And they were like, "No, but we've killed them pretty good this trip." And we've been, "Well, how long you been out here? Like, you live here or whatever?" And he's like, "Oh no, we're from Kentucky, but we come out here from November to February."
Yeah,
It's just, I'm like, man, like, I would love to do that, but some of us can't do that.
yeah,
We got jobs, but it's crazy that people are just, and I guess some people just have jobs that they're able to do that, but taking off like, you know, 60 days alone, like 60 to 90 days is crazy. Just
yeah,
just to even hunt. But I know you're working on that right now. Is
yeah.
you're gonna hunt essentially the end of the year through January, right?
Yeah, so I'm supposed to be hunting from mid-November ish to January, probably 12th or 15th this year, and it just happened to come up on the circumstances that I could do that. And yeah, I'm excited about it. Now, I've never got to hunt that much. It's always been
Mm-hmm.
shoot up there on a Thursday and hunt Friday, Saturday, Sunday, come home
Right.
Sunday morning, or go up there, you take off for 4 or 5 days. What I'm really excited about with this trip though is I get to actually learn. Like, I get to actually, okay, I'm not limited on time here. I can go find the ducks. I don't have to just pop up in a random spot and cross my fingers.
Right.
Because that's how most of the time it is when I go to Arkansas or any of those places like that. It's like the first day is just basically a waste. You're just going. And now recently, in the recent years, I've stopped doing that. Even if I only have 3 days, I would rather waste a full day looking for birds than I would go sit in a random hole. And then by the time you get out at 12 o'clock, birds are already where they're going to be, and then you don't get to see what they're doing. So a
Right.
lot of times, what I do when I first go out of state, the first morning is a scouting mission. And this year, like I said, since circumstances lined up, I'm going to get to learn areas, and I'm going to get to find birds, and I'm going to have time to do that sort of thing instead of just throwing a dart at a dartboard with a blindfold on.
And I guess that means as far as the hook and holler TikTok and the YouTube goes, you're gonna be making series out of that, right? Are you
Oh
gonna
yeah.
film that the entire way? Because you're gonna follow the migration, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm gonna have all that. I'm gonna get one more GoPro before I go. I already have a big camera. I have a Canon. I have a GoPro now. I'm gonna get another one. I'm gonna have all that for YouTube. I'm gonna take my computer on the road with me, and I guess I'm gonna have to stop at like a local McDonald's or whatever and get some Wi-Fi and edit that there.
Yeah.
And then the thing is that I'm kind of on the fence about is, do I tell everybody on TikTok what state I'm going to? Like, do I say I'm here, or you know what I'm saying? Because I don't.
Yeah.
People get crazy about that. People
Mm-hmm.
don't like you telling. And the thing is, even if I just said a state, like, is that still too much to say I'm in this state and I shot this many birds, or I'm in this state and I show a video of this raft of ducks here? Like, will that spark problems? Will some? I mean, somebody's gonna say something, but like, I don't know how to. Should I just not mention the state I'm in? Should I mean I don't know. I've been on the fence about that because I don't really know.
I think that's a tough decision because, I think you're not gonna get a lot of. I don't think you get a lot of hate from the people that are like watching your content on TikTok. I think you're gonna get a lot of, if anything, you're gonna get a little pushback from the staters, from the people that live there.
Yeah, yeah,
They're gonna be like, oh, well, I feel like from my side at least, I feel like as long as you aren't like, well, I'm in so and so county at so and so county line,
yeah. And I'm at
bust
this WMA.
right.
Yeah. So I feel like saying a state is vague enough to where it's not a big deal. But
Hmm.
like I told you earlier, people are gonna cry. Somebody's gonna cry. you know.
Absolutely. And I think that's kind of I think that's kind of what, going back to the social media thing, like that's kind of what, from what I've seen, is like a lot of waterfowl hunting is I think a lot of people cry.
No, dude, there's a ton of babies in the waterfowl industry. Just find anything to
Yeah.
whine about.
And I think that's like, is it you're whining because you're trying to get clout, or like what is social media turning waterfowl hunting into? Is it clout more over conservation? Because I feel like as any hunter, no matter what game you're hunting, it should be more about the conservation of our land. And like that big thing happened a couple months ago where they were trying to do that public land sale all the way out west. And
Yeah.
I think that that's really what social media's purpose should be, is about the conservation and learning of the game, instead of just trying to chase the clout. So I think that's really tough. But what do you think as far as like bag limits in states, or season dates, based on like the migration patterns that we're seeing right now? Like, do you think that states should be changing these? And I think that kind of goes back to Arkansas out of state hunters as well. Like, do you think that bag limits in your state or in Arkansas should be changed at all, or anything like that? Or do you think that right where they're at is pretty solid?
Well, I mean, I guess I'm not really that qualified to answer because I'm
Mm-hmm.
not, a conservationist. And I saw they upped the pintail limit to 3 this year instead of
Mm-hmm.
2. So obviously they're seeing something in pintail. They
Right.
must be, growing or whatever, and
Mm-hmm.
the numbers must be going up. But like, as far as that goes, I could sit here and say, yeah, I wish we could up the limit of mallards to this, or I could up the limit of this, because I like shooting them more. But I feel like there's a reason those numbers are there, and I think that could be, a little selfishness coming out of me. Because yeah, I'd like to shoot more birds, but at the same time, I just, I don't know. I don't know enough about that to
Mm-hmm.
comment on it.
That's fair. Do you think, and when dove opener starts in your state, do you think your first hunts for dove kind of set your tone for how your season's going to go, or do you just not let that affect you? Because I feel like some people, like I went on my first dove hunt this year, and we had shot 80 birds. We damn near limited out from a 6 man. I mean, our limit was 90, so we damn near limited out. And I was like, damn, like this is gonna be fire. And I obviously two different types of birds too. But do you think that that sets a tone if you're busting them, or do you think that you just kind of take it one day at a time?
Well, my main thing with dove hunting, my whole point, is really to work the dog. That's what I look at
Right.
dove hunting as when I first start, is getting my dog back in shape, getting her where she's back the way I want her to be before I hunt. And then as far as like a hunting, like actually me personally, it's really just getting my shooting back right. I
Mm-hmm.
haven't shot a shotgun since, January. So now I'm having
Mm-hmm.
to get back situated on the shotgun. And if you can hit little bitty birds like that,
Mm-hmm.
especially at distance, or flying different ways, you can surely hit a big old duck. So it's like one of those things. I just trying to use it to hone in for duck. It's basically like almost like shooting clay pigeons before dove season. You're just using the
Mm-hmm.
actual ducks for getting ready for the duck season. Like
Right.
that's how I kind of look at it. And like you said, it's a whole different bird. I don't really look at doves like, yeah, this is going to be good for duck. But at the same time, like I said, I use dove hunting as a tool to get my dog and myself ready to go duck hunting.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's, um, we went on that dove hunt this year, and the dog, my buddy's dog that we went with, was, you know, it worked pretty damn good, and I think he's pretty happy with how she performed. And, um, I think he kind of had the same opinion on it too. Is like, this is good just to get her out, instead of me, being in the yard flicking around,
Yeah.
toys, and trying to get her to run out there and do that. But I got some fun questions I want to hear your answer to. So, cut downs and J frames, obviously they have their time and place. If you had one to call the king, top of the world, and obviously you're a timber guy, so I probably know what your answer is going to be. But if you had one that you could use the rest of your life, you going to be cut down or J frame?
I'm actually going to surprise you. I'm going J frame.
Really?
Because a J frame, you can use a J frame in any situation. You can use a J frame in open water. You can use a J frame in the timber. Nobody says you have to use a cut down when you're hunting the timber. Like I just
Right.
made a video on TikTok the other day, blowing a J frame just like a cut down. You can do the same thing into them. Now you're not going to sit there on a cut down and have the range and the sound you're gonna get out of a J frame. But
Mm-hmm.
with a J frame, you can cut those notes up just like you do with a cut down. And a lot of people don't want to have that conversation because, oh, cut down's king. We want to buy all these cut downs.
Mm-hmm.
Go out there and chop your notes up, bark into it just like you're barking into a cut down. But
Right.
it's business. It's all about business. It's all a duck call at the end of the day. I mean, J frame, you can use it to get down on. You can make long notes. You can stretch them out. You can feed chuckle. You can cut on it. You can do what you want with a J frame. Cut down is pretty much all you got to bark. Yeah, you can hail call into it, but it sounds like junk when you get to the end of the note. Yeah, so I mean, J frame all day, man.
Hell yeah. I want to say I'm like not surprised, but or like surprised, but like I could completely understand that for sure. Um, do you think that younger hunters, we're talking probably high school age, college age kids, do you think that they're coming in for the love of hunting or for the love of just posting hunts?
Man, pile pictures, golly. Okay, so this is what causes problems. So you're talking about the whiners and duck hunting.
Yep.
All right, so say I've been, just for instance, I've been hunting Arkansas for a week and I ain't shot a bird. I'm
Mm-hmm.
aggravated. Well, then you got I don't know, you got this hunt company. What's the guys with the duck? That's the group of guys. Their hats have like a mallard on it with X's on its eyes. God, what are they called?
Oh,
Uh,
24/7 Hunt Co.
24/7 hunt. This happened to me, I don't know, 2 years ago. I had been hunting Arkansas hard and I ain't had a doggone bird, nothing. I ain't even cut a feather. And then I look on Instagram and 24/7 hunts got a pile big as the front of their boat. And I'm like, what in the world? We are hunting the same state.
Yeah.
And that's what starts people whining because, nobody likes, like, that's just how the society is now. Nobody wants to see anybody doing better than them. It's all about who's doing this, who's doing that. And the thing is, for me, I didn't look at it like that. It was just like, dang, man, I wish I could figure out where these birds were. But like, people love, like I said before in a video, it's a pecker measuring contest. Who can post the most piles? Who can wear the most expensive clothes?
Right.
It's all a show off thing. It's a showboating deal. And I'm not saying 24/7 Hunt was showing off by posting that.
Mm-hmm.
They're a duck hunting brand. They're gonna post stuff like that.
Right.
I like 24/7 Hunt. I like the guys on there. I'm not throwing any shade at them in any form. It's just like people look at that as a standard. Like, these guys are shooting these ducks. Why can't I? Why can't, like, people look at things above them? You know, like, I could sit there and scroll through anybody, big known Cole Townsend, for example. Dude shoots birds.
Oh
I
yeah, he
mean, he
does.
shoots
He was
birds.
just in my state 2 weeks ago
Yeah,
for
dude shoots birds.
yep.
Comparison is a thief of joy. You
Mm-hmm.
know, if I'm sitting there comparing my hunts and what I got going on to somebody else's, you'll never be happy. You can't do it like that.
Right.
You got to go out there and have a good time. It's not about how many birds you shoot. It's, fellowship with the guys. Go out there and have a good time, whether you shoot a duck, whether you don't. You're out there when the woods are waking up. I feel that's the most at peace
Mm-hmm.
I ever am, is when everything starts to come to life. You're hearing all these sounds. You're like, man, I mean, it's a feeling that you can't get anywhere else, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's, and I said this last week too. Is like, um, you know, being in the blind with a bunch of guys, and because we big A-frame guys, so being in the blind or an A-frame with a bunch of guys that have different stories, and or at least this is like my side of it is. I like learning different people's stories. Everybody comes from a different place. Everybody has a different background. And if I can learn the most I can and enjoy the company that I'm with while I'm doing something that I enjoy doing, and that's what it's about.
No.
I think that's the thing too, is everybody's like, I want all this jewelry on my lanyard. Everybody's chasing jewelry on their lanyards too, and I think that's and I think I know where your answer is going to go with that. But I think, do you think the community is just getting competitive with the limits instead of actually just enjoying being out there?
Yeah, social media for sure. Like I said, posting them pile pictures, and it's everybody looks at stuff as a competition now. Like, this guy posted a pile picture, so I need to go shoot more ducks than him and post a picture of it because I'm a better hunter because I shot more ducks than he did.
Right.
Well, first of all, you got to look at location. If these people are hunting private or public, I mean, there's so many different things. Or if they just hit it on the right day, like, that's what I'm saying. It's just a comparison thing, man. That needs to go away, and it needs to be more about, like you were saying, fellowship. You go hunt with your buddies and have a good time. It doesn't matter how many birds you kill or anything like that. Just go
Right.
have fun, enjoy what you're doing. Don't, while you're sitting there hunting, looking at Instagram, I wonder if this guy shot a bunch of ducks today, or why does it matter? You know,
Right.
what does why does that have anything? What's that have anything to do with what you're doing
Right.
currently?
Absolutely. And I think that's like where I'm kind of like, I wouldn't say it's a discouragement because I'm like, just getting into this and going on my first duck hunt this year is definitely one of those things. It's like, man, what if I don't limit out? What if I don't have the biggest pile? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, and it shouldn't
Mm.
matter. I'm out there enjoying learning and the people that I'm with, and I guess that brings me to my next point is what is one unpopular opinion you have, and you can get as controversial as you want with it. What is one unpopular opinion you have about waterfowl hunting that most people wouldn't agree with?
Um, probably the most is like decoy stuff, man. The live decoys that they have turned into a money business. These motorized decoys that they say that you just have to have to kill birds, which is complete bull crap. And I dive bomb, and all y'all guys that see this, y'all can cry. I don't care. You don't gotta have that. Our granddad used to go out there in overalls and with bottles painted black and shoot more ducks than any guys in 2025 will shoot in the rest of their life. And that's just how it is. People kicking, I mean, motion, man, motion. You don't got to have all that. Like, you can go out there with a jerk rig, you can kick water with your feet. You don't, and it's like I said, it's all about money now. People love to convince everybody that you just have to, you got to get this decoy right here. It's the new 2025 best decoy award of the year, whatever bull crap. I don't care. I ain't got to have it. You know what I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that's my biggest thing, man. Like I said, it's all money motive. It's all money motivated. You don't gotta have none of that. And now I'm not gonna sit here and say some of that stuff is bad. Some of that stuff is good and is nice to have if you want to use it. Like I'm not saying you shouldn't use it, but I'm saying you do not have to have it. They like to push the narrative of you gotta have this. You gotta
Right.
have motion. You don't gotta have that decoy particular. You just gotta
Mm-hmm.
have motion. So like I just don't understand the guys that go out there and buy thousands and thousands of dollars worth of motion decoys when you can buy a jerk rig for $25 and
Right.
you can stomp it around in the mud. And if one jerk rig ain't enough, put two of them out there. You don't spend $100
Yeah.
versus your
Yeah.
6,000 you got on your motion decoys out there.
Yeah, I think that kind of goes well with the next one is so you see like, these companies like GHG and who's the other one Higdon, right?
Yeah,
And they got those the diving ducks getting in or tipping down for food in the water.
yeah,
What is your opinion? I guess so. Motion and decoys. What do you think? I guess would be the best? Just a Mojo spinning wing decoy, or I've seen and this is the one that I saw that I thought was really funny the other day. It kind of made me laugh. Is people putting bilge pumps on the bottom of their floating ducks and then they chain them together so it looks like they're coming around in a line.
yeah.
What do
Man,
you think is as far as like how many different types of motion decoys there are?
man, I motion decoys. Like I said, I don't own a single motorized decoy. I've hunted with the guys that
Mm-hmm.
have them. And to me, man, if you have a jerk rig and you have motion in the water, you don't have to have all that. It don't matter what kind of you know. And yeah, like I was saying, some people that's got the money and they don't know what to do with it, go right on ahead. But guys like me that we ain't rich, we ain't got a ton of money. You
Right.
don't have to have that. That's not something that's not a necessity that you just got to have. Like that's something that can be nice. You don't got to have a jerk rig to jerk on. Now, one thing I would like to have that's motorized is one of those jerk rigs that pulls by for you.
Yeah.
Have you seen that before? Yeah,
Yeah.
like I would like to have one of those. Just that way somebody's don't gotta man the jerk rig. But a lot of times I have seen on days where ducks will see that line in the water from the jerk cord. We had that happen last year in Arkansas. We were hunting open water on a rice field, and when we would jerk the jerk rig, the ducks were doing better as long as we would quit. Like once they came in and they saw the motion, we'd
Mm-hmm.
stop completely. Like just
Mm-hmm.
drop it, drop the line in the water, and then they would come in. But as far as that line, like as I guess the water was so clear, and then it was going up to an A frame. It had that slack in it going up. Like
Yeah.
I don't know, it was causing problems. But like I said, all of it. One thing that everybody will soon learn is this whole world, everything ever created is revolved around money. Everything is motivated by money.
The almighty
And once,
dollar.
yes, it's all about the dollar. all this stuff. I mean, duck hunting, whatever industry you're in, it's stuff that you do not need. Like I was saying, our
Mm,
grandparents and people way before our time were shooting piles and piles of birds. And you know how many motorized decoys they had out there? Any
no.
battery operated, they ain't got a single one. And they'll shoot way more than most of us will in our lifetime.
So you would consider yourself a traditionalist then, when it comes to duck hunting?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, if I had a couple $1 million in the bank, would I go buy some of those? Probably, just to have out there. But you don't have to have them. That's my whole point I'm pushing. You don't gotta have a lot of this stuff in the duck hunting community specifically is out there for money, and you don't gotta have it. Now, I'm
Right.
not saying you need decoys. You obviously gotta have decoys,
Hmm.
but you just don't got to have all these expensive motion decoys and these different little things that come with it. And like I say, I'm not really hating on it. I'm just saying you don't need it. You don't have to have it. It's not a
Hmm.
necessity. And if you got the money, by all means, go for it. But it's
Absolutely.
not something I would encourage a new duck hunter to go break the bank on some motion decoys when you can go pick up a jerk rig for $25 and kick your feet in the mud a little bit.
So what do you think is the one piece of advice that you would give to someone who's just getting into duck hunting?
The first thing I would tell them is scout, find the birds. Like I've said before, I could go out in my front yard and throw out 150 dozen decoys and call all morning long. It ain't gonna do no good if you're not where the birds want to be. First of all, the first and most important thing is find out where the birds are and where they want to be. That's the most important thing. Because if you're just starting, a lot of times you're not gonna be that good on the call. So if you're not that good on the call, you're not gonna traffic birds. You got to be where they're feeding. You got to try to figure out where they want to be at, and you
Right.
can go from there. Um, the second piece of advice I would give them is the one I've been pushing this whole time: motion. Have a jerk rig. Go. That needs to be the first. After you buy your decoys, you need a jerk rig, one or two of them, probably two of them, and have that out there. Especially if you know you're new in the duck hunt, you don't got a bunch of money, and you just want the necessities. Get you one or two jerk rigs. Find the birds. Get you a spread out there. And then from then on, it's just learning. From then on,
Hmm.
learning how birds want to work, learning how birds fly. They land into the wind. You know, I'd give them that tip. Birds are going to land into the wind. So if you got this wind, you need to set up at this spot, whatever. The hide is very important. That's something else that I preach
Hmm.
all the time. You got to be hidden. I mean, you got to be hidden. You can't have your face flashing. Ducks can see really, really well. It's just like the thing is, if you really break down duck hunting, it's not as hard. It's hard, but it's not like you don't need all this stuff to be successful. Is what I'm getting at.
Okay. Well, that's you. Yeah, I think we've covered a lot.
Yeah.
We went over a lot, and I guess what's next for you? What, like, more hunts, collaborations, new content? Is there anything that you would like to tell people, as far as what's next for you and your brand? Like, what do you think is what's the next step?
So my next step is obviously I'm gonna be hunting all season this year. I'm gonna have all those videos posted on YouTube. My YouTube's just Hook and Holler Outdoors, no spaces. I already have dove hunts posted on there. So really duck season is what I'm looking forward to. I may try to get another dove hunt in before then, but right now it's kind of I'm still battling. I'm still working. So once that's over with and I start hunting, it's going to be a ton of content. Duck hunting, calling, whatever. It's going to be on YouTube, TikTok, any platform I got, Instagram. And I'm kind of riding with it until January. I'm giving myself till January to find something, find a way to do this for a living. That's what I'm kind of looking for. I'm gonna put all I got into it, and if it don't work, then I'm gonna go back to work and I'm gonna continue to do content. It's just gonna be back working a job and doing content.
Right.
Because when I don't have a job, I was spitting out like 7 TikToks a day, able to edit, had plenty of time in the day to get done what I needed to get done. So it's like one of those things, it's just kind of seeing where life takes me and which way the wind blows.
Awesome, man. I wish nothing, but the best for you and the brand, and definitely we'll be hopping on some lives and talking to people for sure on TikTok, and I'm definitely excited. I watched your dove hunt today, so that was pretty killer. And
What'd you think about that?
that was good. I think I definitely like that Impala Plus.
Oh
Um,
yeah, it shot good.
yeah, and is that inertia or is that gas driven?
I think it's inertia.
You think
I
it's
think it
inertia?
is. I'm
Okay.
not 100% sure. But did you see, like, in the point in the video with my dog, like, some of those birds, she would take off after and go get, and then she'd walk back to me.
Right.
Like, she was just tired.
He was
Like,
beat.
that was
Yeah.
her thing. She was just worn out. And like I said, that was one of those things that a lot of hunters would get aggravated with their dog but you can't. Like I got a little aggravated in one of the clips. I'm like, doggone. And then one time, the very next one, I'm like, better energy that time. Like, golly.
Yeah, man, that video was good. And if y'all haven't seen any of his content on YouTube before, or if you haven't seen his TikTok, I'll make sure to link that on both sides of the video here. But like I said, wish you nothing but the best. And I appreciate you coming on here and wanting to talk ducks and everything waterfowl based.
Yes, sir. I enjoyed it. Hopefully, we can get together sometime this year.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll be talking to you, and we will see you guys next week on the next episode of Beyond the Blind. And we hope you guys enjoy this episode, and we will definitely catch y'all later.
All right. See y'all.